The Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for October the 11th, 2022. We're going to begin by calling roll. Alderman Barnhill. Present. Vice Mayor Blanton.
Here.
Alderman Hanson.
Here.
Alderman Peterson.
Here.
Alderman Berger.
Present.
Alderman Brown is absent. Alderman Potts.
Present.
Alderman Baggett.
Present.
And the mayor's here too. So there's your attendance. We'll begin with the invocation. I'll ask Alderman Barnhill if he would offer that, then I'll lead in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you stand, please?
Stand.
Heavenly Father, again tonight we come to you in prayer. Thank you for this great nation that all of us live in. We are especially thankful for all the freedoms that we have and have been afforded by your generosity. We ask that you be with each of us tonight. The decisions we make will guide the city of Franklin. We ask that you give us spiritual wisdom and guidance. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is an opportunity for citizens to make comments for items that are not on the agenda, and I have no speaker cards for that, so we'll continue to move forward. Next is communications from Williamson County Commission. I have none, so we'll go to approval of minutes from the September 22nd Board of Mayor and Alderman special meeting, the September 27th Board of Mayor and Alderman work session, and the September 27th Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, and I would entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Thank you for the motion, Alderman Barnhill, seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now move on to recognitions, and I would like to invite Judge Martin, who's with us tonight, to come up. Familiar face. So, Judge, I'm honored to offer a proclamation for your service to our community, and here's how it reads. Whereas on August 31st, 2022, the Honorable Jim Martin retired after 14 years serving as judge on the Tennessee Circuit Court 21st Judicial District Division II, preceded by 27 years of service as an attorney in both private practice and for the city of Franklin. And whereas Judge Martin graduated from Vanderbilt University and immediately served in the United States Army, after which he returned to Vanderbilt to study law and graduated in 1974 at the top of his class. Whereas Judge Martin began his career as an assistant city attorney for Franklin, Tennessee, and was then promoted to city attorney in 1976, where he served in that position until 1988. And whereas Judge Martin was also a partner in the law firm of Ferris, Warfield, and Kennedy from 1978 to 2000, when the firm merged with Stites and Harbison, where he continued to work as a partner until 2008. And whereas in 2008, Governor Phil Bredesen appointed Judge Martin to the Tennessee Circuit Court 21st Judicial District Division II, which also included an 8-year stint presiding over the 21st District Recovery Court. And wherever over his career, Judge Martin received many honors. He was listed as the best lawyers in America, membership with the American College of Trial Lawyers, and being named as in Business Tennessee's list of the 150 best lawyers in 2008. And whereas Judge Martin has been a trusted colleague, friend, and advisor, we deeply appreciate the important contributions he's made to our community and to the state of Tennessee. And now, therefore, I, Dr. Ken Moore, Mayor of the City of Franklin, on behalf of a grateful city, do hereby appreciate Judge Jim Martin's many years of dedicated service and offer him sincere best wishes for continued good health, happiness, and success in the next chapter of life. Judge Martin. please offer us a few comments. And there's your proclamation,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor and members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, this proclamation is of special significance to me. As Mayor Moore indicated, I moved to Franklin in 1974 and knew no one. I'd been here twice. I came once to interview for the job with the firm that I went to work for, and then the second time was to move here. And you can imagine what an experience it would be for a young lawyer in 1974 to move to a community and their first client would be the city of Franklin. How could you immerse yourself in the community in a greater way than to be the lawyer for the city? And in May of 1974, Cletus McWilliams took me to a board meeting, which was down on West Main at that time, because that's where all of the city services were located. He introduced me and left. But I then began to work for the city of Franklin as their lawyer. Julian Bibb joined me in '77. And in 1979, Julian came and said, Connie Clark has now joined the firm, and she's a Franklin native, and she really would like to work with you on the city business. And I said, well, Julian, it's yours. If you want it, it's yours to pass along. So in 1979, then Connie joined me, and she and I continued to represent the city of Franklin until 1988, when I passed the torch to Connie. It's been an incredible experience. I would be honored to share a lot of stories with you, but you've been here since 5 o'clock, and you're bound to be worn out. And I just want to thank all of you for this recognition and let you know how special it is for me. Thank you.
Thank you. We just had a visit from our sister city in Bad Soden, Germany, and I want to thank Alderman Hanson for her work in leading that, along with Alderman Brown, who's involved. And we've enjoyed their presence for the past week, and they got to do a lot of things, but we have a special treat because we have special guests tonight. Johanna Neske and Clara Elsner are with us tonight. Joanna and Clara are joining us from our sister city and will be interning with the city of Franklin for 2 weeks. They are currently juniors in high school, where Clara is majoring in German and biology, and yet Johanna is majoring in English and history. So if you'll join me in welcoming them. And I think with that, I'm going to come back to the dais. And anybody else have any miscellaneous reports or recognitions?
I just want to say Judge Martin is in the crowd with 2 of his classmates from this year's Leadership Franklin class. It's odd to me that you are just now doing Leadership Franklin on the tail end of your service, but I'm sure Julian would have it no other way. But Tamika Sanders, who serves as a detective on the Sheriff's Department, and then also we have April, I'm trying to remember her last name, Eaton, who is also with us. So I think we'll be getting more visits from Leadership Franklin classes, but welcome to our Bowman meeting.
And I have one more announcement, but I'll do it after Mr. Stoops.
I just want to make a quick recognition and let the board know. As you probably already know, Linnea Benny's going to be retiring at the end of this year as our city recorder. In the last couple weeks, we've made some decisions. And we have appointed our new city recorder. Some are calling it City Recorder 2.0. And that's Angie Johnson, who's sitting right next to Linnea. So Angie's been with us and been a critical part of these meetings and setting up civic clerk as that came on board, and all the different things we've been through in the last 2.5+ years. And so she's very well deserving of that appointment and stepping up into that role. And her taking that position created a vacancy as well. As our deputy city recorder, we've just appointed Casey Anderson, so right next to Angie. It's always great to see folks who come in, step up, prove themselves, and then get opportunities in other positions to continue to grow and serve in the community, and that's clearly happening in both these cases. And we'll talk a little more about Linnea's departure later in the year. We'll stop now. So, thank you.
And I do have one other miscellaneous report, and that is 5 years ago, our community began having a prayer breakfast in the fall. We were successful for 2 years, having a live event. Then 2 years we were virtual, but we're back again having a live event on this Saturday at 9 o'clock, free breakfast. And you'll hear from a number of different Abrahamic faith practices with prayer about the community and helping our community understand who their neighbors are. So 9 o'clock, Eastern Flank Battlefield. It's a tented event, free breakfast. So hopefully folks who have an interest will come. So, and any other reports? Seeing none, we'll now go to the consent agenda, and all items under the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature by the governing body. They'll be approved by one vote. Tonight, we're considering items 12 through 17. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Potts. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Blanton. Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go on to item 3. This is a public hearing, consideration of ordinance 2022-32, an ordinance to rezone 20.15 acres from Planned PD District to Planned PD .2/263,100 district for the property located east of Franklin Road, north of Liberty Pike, located 230 Franklin Road, the factory at Franklin PUD subdivision. Joey?
Thank you and good evening. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property at 230 Franklin Road to Planned District with the proposed entitlements to accommodate the revision to the factory at Franklin PUD subdivision, which will be heard also on this agenda tonight. Envision Franklin places this property in the neighborhood commercial design concept, which state that these areas contain a mix of active uses at key intersection that serve surrounding residential concentrations. These centers should be defined by building frontages and an activated street. The rezoning with proposed entitlements is in accordance with the recommendations of Envision Franklin and is supported by staff as is Planning Commission. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2022-32. Thank you.
Anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Would entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Second.
Second by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 4. This is a public hearing, consideration resolution 2022-59, a resolution of approving a revised development plan for the factory at Franklin PUD subdivision with 11 modification of development standards. Let's hear them.
Yeah, buckle up. The applicant has submitted a revision to the factory at Franklin PUD subdivision development plan. The original concept plan for the factory was approved in June of 1997 with ordinance 97-32. The plan as submitted proposes a new commercial recreation use in the form of a recreational carousel, modifications to the parking layout, and 11 modification of standards requests pertaining to dumpster location, screening wall location and height, and connectivity to the northern parcels and modified signage regulations. Envision Franklin places this property in the neighborhood commercial design concept. The former industrial campus was repurposed into a commercial development in the late 1990s. No significant new construction is being proposed with this revision. The applicant is proposing these alterations to respond to modern retail and customer preferences. There are 11 modifications of standards, and we'll go through them one by one. Happy to go back and answer any questions you may have about them. MOS number 1 is the location of the dumpster or refuse areas. They are requesting to allow dumpster areas in the frontage area along Liberty Pike. The zoning ordinance in section 13.3.4 states that refuse areas shall be located away from frontages and to the side or rear of the building. And Vision Franklin further states that buildings within neighborhood commercial should engage and define the street with landscaping, pedestrian walkways, and street furnishings to allow for safe and comfortable movement of pedestrians and to activate along major frontages and intersections. This site offers many other locations to locate the dumpster areas that meet the recommendations of Envision Franklin and the regulations of the zoning ordinance. Staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 1 for dumpster location. The Planning Commission did recommend approval for MOS number 1. MOS number 2 relates directly to MOS number 1 and due to the screen wall height and location for the dumpster refuse areas. The applicant is requesting to locate screen walls within 15 feet of the side street lot line and increase wall height to 8 feet within this area to accommodate those refuse areas, as discussed in MOS number 1. The site offers many other locations to locate the dumpster areas that do meet the recommendations of Envision Franklin and the regulations of the zoning ordinance, including the screen wall height for dumpsters in those areas and locations that would meet both those documents. Staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 2 for screen wall height, location, and height. It was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. Cross-access, MOS number 3, the applicant is requesting to reduce the number of northern cross-access points to adjacent properties to 3 rather than 1 for each property. Section 9.5.3 of the zoning ordinance states that internal vehicular circulation shall be designed to provide cross-access to each adjacent property. Staff cannot support this request to reduce the number of connections to the northern parcels. So staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 3 to reduce the cross-access. Planning Commission did recommend approval of MOS number 3. Modifications 4 through 11 all relate to signage for the development, and I'll just go ahead and kind of give a general statement before we go through these. The factory at Franklin is an adaptive reuse property that was formerly the site of an industrial campus, a factory. As such, the buildings were not constructed to be conducive for retail or commercial and non-residential uses. The use of additional signage will assist with protecting and revitalizing this local historical and cultural asset. The Historic Zoning Commission provided favorable recommendations of approval with conditions for the MOSs for signage, with the exception of MOS number 8 pertaining to vertical blade signs, which is recommended for disapproval. Accordingly, staff's recommendations align with the Historic Zoning Commission recommendations based on the sign package that was supplied by the applicant and further described in a condition of approval number 10. The property is within the historic preservation overlay, so each sign must be reviewed and approved individually for a certificate of appropriateness prior to issuance of a sign permit. So MOS number 4 is request to allow irregularly shaped signs. Currently, the zoning ordinance does not allow for irregularly shaped signs, but based on the sign package and the recommendation of historic zoning, staff recommends approval with conditions for MOS number 4, as does Planning Commission. For MOS number 5, request to increase maximum number of band signs. Currently, the zoning ordinance limits maximum of 1 per main entrance per storefront for band signs on the ground floor. Staff does recommend approval with conditions of MOS number 5, as does Historic Zoning and Planning Commission. Request to allow canopy signage to be located above the canopy roof line. Currently, the zoning ordinance states that these signs shall not project above or below the canopy or be located above the building roof line. Staff does recommend approval with conditions of MOS number 6, as does Planning Commission and Historic Zoning Commission. MOS number 7, request to allow additional projecting signs per facade. The current zoning ordinance does limit the signs to 1 per tenant along the same facade with a maximum of 6.5 square feet. Staff recommends approval with conditions of MOS number 7, as does Planning Commission, also Historic Zoning Commission. MOS number 8 is the request to allow one vertical blade sign along a facade. The applicant is requesting this, and the section 15.14 of the zoning ordinance states vertical blade signs are permitted on a building that is 2 or more stories and fronts a street intersection. As this is a principally single-story building, signage that is more active at the pedestrian level should be maintained. Vertical blade signs should not be used on buildings less than 2 stories. This is a larger scale of a building, but in the end, really more of a 1-story scale building. So staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 8, as does Planning Commission recommending disapproval and Historic Zoning. MOS number 9 is a request to increase the number of wall signs per facade. Staff recommends approval with conditions of MOS number 9 for the increase in wall signs, as does Planning Commission and Historic Zoning Commission. MOS number 10, request to allow signs on the historic water tower. The applicant is requesting to allow 2 wall signs on the water tower with a sign size of 350 square feet per side. Section 15.15 of the ordinance has a maximum of 1 per building. As this is a former industrial site and as there has been signage on the tower before, staff is recommending approval with conditions of MOS number 10, as does Planning Commission. MOS number 11, request to allow additional development entrance signs. Currently, the zoning ordinance limits a maximum of 2 per entrance to the development. But given the adaptive reuse of the property and the recommendations of Historic Zoning Commission, staff recommends approval with conditions of MOS number 11 for development entrance signs, as does Planning Commission. So to recap, MOS numbers 1 through 3 and number 8 are recommended disapproval by staff. MOS's, everything else recommend approval with conditions. MOS's 1 through 7 and 9 through 11 are recommended approval with conditions by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did recommend disapproval for MOS number 8. So with all of that in mind, staff does recommend approval with conditions of Resolution 2022-59, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Does anyone want to speak to this body about any of these modifications, which we will go over? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and clean my glasses so I can read them all. So here's the plan. We're going to have an initial, I would ask for an initial motion to approve the item. Then we will vote separately on each modification of standard, and after we voted on all the modification of standards, then we'll go back and vote on the motion with all the modification of standards. Well, I may have misspoken. The first one, we just need a motion so that we can move forward and start approving the modifications.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion for approval for modification of standard number 1.
No, let's start out with the Resolution 2022-59. I need a motion.
So moved.
All right. Okay.
Okay, motion by Alderman Barnhill, second by Alderman Peterson.
Got it.
So now,
Now.
we're going to go
Sorry, I
to
missed that.
modification standard number 1, which has to do with dumpster refuge location.
All right, then I'll make my motion for approval for the dumpster refuge location.
Second.
Appropriate motion, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I actually did have discussion. I appreciate staff getting us all of these hard copies tonight. I really sincerely do.
Yeah.
Great job. I'd like to see if someone quickly could help to point us to the best visual so that we could look at where these refuge areas and compactors would be located in the building again. I was looking and I was trying to think maybe it would be slide 14.
Already seen.
Yeah, I was looking actually on the,
Yeah.
which one is that, 3 of 17?
It's hard to, I can't open them.
Yeah, we can't grab that one.
Joey, would you just describe again to Alderman
Yeah.
Potts where the dumpsters are located? Where they're asking them to be located?
They are mainly requesting to allow them on the frontage
In
along,
the side.
on Liberty Pike, along the side of, between the parking lot and the sidewalk. This modification essentially allows for the Historic Zoning Commission to consider this area as a potential location to locate these refuse areas. If the applicant may have more specific locations that have.
Yeah, I'm going to ask the applicant to come up. It was an oversight that I didn't ask him to come up after during the public hearing. So we're going to go back to the public hearing with you, and so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Drake Reeder. I am a landscape architect and urban planner with Gamble Design Collaborative. I'm here representing the applicant. Actually, if you'll scroll down the picture to the one underneath it, I think it shows a little bit better the locations. We're requesting 2 along Liberty Pike. You can see the 2 red circles. Those are the 2 along the Liberty Pike. The other 2 are in the back along the adjacent property, which is located along the properties to the north. But there are 2 locations there along Liberty Pike.
And that provides greater clarity. I appreciate you doing that. I was, based on the previous presentation, I thought all of your dumpsters were all going to be in one area there. But you're just saying within each of those 2 red circles are going to be 2 large dumpster bins. And if I'm seeing where the mouse is right now, what road is that? I can't see.
That's Liberty Pike.
That's Liberty. So they will literally be bumped up between Liberty Pike and the sidewalk, if I'm hearing you correct?
No, so the sidewalk will be inside the right-of-way, and then the dumpsters and enclosures, you can see there's a little graphic to the bottom right there that shows kind of the sidewalk along Liberty Pike, the right-of-way, which would be our property line, and then our proposed kind of landscaping that would, in addition to the wall between the pedestrian access along Liberty.
Okay. And now the image you just referenced has 3 dumpsters in it, but you're saying that you'll only have 2?
I think Holiday can't be here because Holiday Properties, the owner, they had a COVID issue. But in their discussion, they're still working with a consultant to figure out exactly how many. But the size of the enclosure, whether it's 2 or 3, I think they're currently looking at 3, 1 for recycling and 2 for refuse.
And will the enclosures, it looks like it's a wooden gate, maybe reinforced with metal framing. Will those be manual open or, I'm just looking at it sitting next to Liberty and trying to figure out how those are going to be secured so other people aren't showing up and actually dumping stuff in there as well.
So those doors will be facing interior to
Right.
the parking. That's kind of a character image. This modification is so that we can go before Historic and work with Historic to come up with the final design. This is kind of a character image of something that could work in that area, we think. Able to open and close. There's 3 pedestrian accesses, the one on the side and the 2 around the side for the various people, to various tenants within to use the dumpster enclosure.
That's good to know. So your commercial waiter, server crew won't have to open the large doors. They'll be able to go in through a smaller door then.
This image actually has 3 pedestrian doors, and you can see in our image on the bottom right, on the side, those are the proposed pedestrian doors. So they're not even opening to the front, they would open to the side. And this is, like I said, we're in the conceptual stage of figuring out, this modification will allow us to further that discussion with Historic and come up with a design solution for that.
Go ahead, Alderman Berger, and then I'll recognize you, Alderman Baggett.
Just real quick, so if you see those double doors, those are facing in to the parking lot.
Yes, yes.
So behind that, you have all that screening. So when I'm driving down Liberty Pike, I'm going to see this beautiful hedge or vegetation, landscaping, and screening. So that's hidden from Liberty Pike, basically. And then, I like this comment from Jason about the pedestrian doors and everything. And you know, you have to make it attractive because you don't want it to be ugly looking, and you have to have security on it. So that's why I wanted to approve this. I think that you have to have these in locations where people can actually get outside and use them from your restaurants that are nearby. Strategically look at, remember in the other meeting that we had, you described why you needed them placed around different places. Because you just can't have one area. That's a large space. So you can't just have one in the back. You have to have them different places. So that's why I'm supporting that, because I think that's logical and needed, and it's going to serve the tenants much better. And I like your screening. It's very good.
Alderman Baggett?
I think that's my dumpster.
It is this one.
I knew it looked familiar. But I think it's important to note one thing, that this modification actually doesn't place them in the red circles, is that will happen at site plan, that they could be anywhere along, and so along Liberty Pike, which is all right, because I hope there's creativity, and I know that's the viewpoint of Holiday Properties and Gamble Design, is that we can get creative here with where they're placed to have the least amount of visual impact off Liberty and pedestrian traffic. And I mean, the physical constraints of the building, we normally would not want a dumpster fronting a street, and I understand that why we have that in our ordinances, but it's just a physical complication of an old historic building that I think, you know, it happened. But I do, and also historic could still disapprove these, right, if even if we approve it. So I think it's incumbent upon everybody. I'm going to support it because I think they'll give it the due diligence it deserves. But I think makes sense, and just make sure, get creative. And I would say that Holiday Properties, they're here to get creative on how it's designed to make it blend as good as you know, it can blend well if done right. So I'll support it.
Any other comments? Well, that's what I was thinking he was coming to do, rather than get questioned by the board.
Oh,
But
so-
if you want to go ahead and make your public comments, if not, I'm going to close the public hearing again.
I'm here to answer any questions, so.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions on modification standard 1 as far as dumpster refuge location? If not, ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Modification standard 1 passes. Modification standard 2, screen wall location height. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote?
Yeah.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Modification standard 3, which is cross-access, rather than, yeah, I'm going to describe it, and then you all can talk about it if you make a motion and second it. So what they're proposing is a single access to the properties north of the factory property, and I think staff had wanted individual property access based on our ordinance. Did I describe that correctly, Joey?
Generally, yes. The applicant is asking for requests for connectivity for one per parcel to the north, down to 3 connections to be, that they have
3
requested.
rather than multiple?
Yes.
Not one.
Got you. Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, move for approval, please.
Okay, appropriate motion. Is there a second?
Pause.
Second by Alderman Peterson. Okay.
Question. So are we approving the staff's multiple or the applicant's 3?
What are you clarifying?
I'm approving the request for the modification of standards for 3.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Now, open for discussion. Alderman Peterson, you said you wanted to address that? Okay, all right, Alderman Potts.
I do want clarification. If we're just talking about the 3, what were the multiple options? How many more were there and where were they on that map?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it each
yeah,
of those
yeah.
arrows?
Why did you, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
any adjoining property they
Yeah.
wanted access to.
The proposed are the 3 blue arrows, sorry. There are 11 properties to the north, and as the code currently reads, we would have to provide 11 stub-out rows to each one of the 11 properties. So we're proposing 3 in these locations. A big part of that was pedestrian safety and what Holiday wanted to do with this area, creating a more pedestrian-friendly access area, and we went with 3.
Okay, any other discussion?
Does staff does staff want 11?
Why would you do that?
Staff had recommended against that modification standard, is correct.
Our zoning ordinance would require 11, but that's as those properties develop over time. Unfortunately, the engineering department isn't really here to speak to this specifically, but yes, the zoning ordinance would require the ability to connect to those parcels to the north as they develop over time. So as Jimmy Wiseman, Assistant Director of Engineering, has said, it may not be 11, but as of right now, there is a drive aisle that is along the northern parcel, or the northern boundary, that is much more beneficial to as those properties develop, then they can connect to the factory. Once you put parking spaces between them, that makes it more difficult. So again, I really can't speak to the engineering specifics of connectivity, but again, our zoning ordinance does require connectivity, vehicular connectivity to every adjoining parcel.
You done?
One more question for you, Joey. I'm inclined to add the condition that you have suggested on the bottom of this.
What's that?
MOS number 3, which is to add a public access easement along the entire boundary. But I have not heard from the applicant if that's agreeable. That makes more sense because we don't know exactly where development's going to occur adjacent to. So could you speak to that?
Again, I'll add, that came from the engineering department, that recommendation for the connectivity. But again, it just goes to, it's a potential tool that we can use to connect to additional properties as they develop over time. So I can let the applicant speak to that now.
I'm going to ask the applicant to come up and,
Practical.
I just wanted to speak to that because that came up during planning commission. One of the issues with that is that it's basically requiring, it would be the entire piece to the north being an access. So it's just another way of requiring 11 accesses along that north piece. And what we're trying to do is not have kind of every property to the north to be able to access as much as they want, have a little bit more control, especially in that back area where we're adding the carousel, that being more of a family-friendly area. And also, in order to put our dumpsters along in those locations, as it's drawn now, it would destroy that whole property layout, or the parking lot layout, and have to move things. And that's also an area we're looking at for bioretention because of the natural fall of the site and the limitations with the redeveloping an urban kind of infill.
Thank you.
Alderman Peterson, I had you next.
I was just going to say, if you drive back there now, well, first of all of those properties connect to, what's it called?
Harper
Harper
Industrial Court.
Industrial Court, yes, thank you. And right now. And some of them actually have a little access over to
Yeah.
this.
3 of 'em.
But generally, it would be an access just every, how many feet? You know, it's hardly,
It's very, I don't know.
yeah, but I mean, those are not wide lots at all, not at all. So you'd have to have a road, you know, on every one of them if all 11 of them were required. And if you drive back there, you see that's really not, even the buildings that are already there, a few of them would be okay, but
You want to make a comment, Mr. Gerth?
I believe Joey explained it very well, is that redevelopment is unknown.
Sure.
And the chances are of all 11 properties remaining as they are not too great. So having the easement preserves that opportunity should somebody acquire one or more parcels and redevelop. And that's the way that we've looked at it to maintain connectivity.
And the planning commission, though, voted, didn't we vote all in favor of not having the staff's suggested conditions on there? I believe
that
that's
was the
correct.
case, yes,
The
yes.
planning
Thank you
commission
for,
voted
yeah.
against having the suggested conditions unanimously.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Alderman
I
Berger?
just want to say that I think it is a safety thing. You brought that up. I think that's a solid reason. You have too many people, like I said, you drive down a road and you have industrial or office or retail, whatever, and you had 11 access points going down that road to another street or another alleyway. It'd be, odd, I think, to have that many, and 3 makes more sense. You're also putting the dumpsters, I heard there, and I think it's very wise not to put any access down by that carousel area with a lot of families in that area. And then even in that back area, a lot of families will be in that back corridor. I think you should limit the access points to that. 2 or 3, or what, 3, I think it is, would be totally sufficient for that area, I would believe. So, anyway, that's why I support it.
Other comments? You ready to vote? Alderman Baggett?
Yes.
Alderman Potts?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
Alderman Hanson? Vice Mayor Blanton?
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill?
We're voting on 3.
Yes.
Yes. Passes unanimously.
Unless you want to throw in another one, or take away one.
None. Yeah. Make sure we
Well,
get.
this is, if it's not confusing enough, we have a
Sign.
number of modification standards still to vote on. So, modification standard 4 is, has to do with irregular shaped signs. Is there a
Move
motion?
for approval.
Thank you,
Second.
Vice Mayor. Seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to
Is
vote?
this with or without conditions?
It doesn't say, it says approved with conditions.
But that's what you,
What's your motion?
Yes,
That's right,
ma'am.
okay.
As written right in front of me, approved with conditions.
Thanks for the clarification. Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Modification of Standard 5, which has to do with an increased number, maximum number of banned signs to approve with conditions.
So move. Second then.
Seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Modification Standard 6 is signage approved with conditions, canopy signage. Was approved 8-0 by the Planning Commission. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Alderman Berger. Seconded by Alderman
conditions.
Peterson.
Right. Yeah, with conditions.
With conditions.
Yep.
Any discussion? Ready to vote?
Mr. Mayor, I don't, are we on number 6?
6.
Yeah, I don't see conditions listed here.
Yep.
Modifications.
They're all there.
Right there,
Oh,
right here.
sorry, I was on,
Yeah.
following that.
It hasn't.
Okay,
Disregard it,
We're
Mr.
good.
Mayor.
all right. Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Hanson. Yes. Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to modification standard number 7, which is approved with conditions, projecting signs.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman
with
Barnhill.
conditions.
Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Hanson. Thanks for chiming in. Any discussion? Ready to vote, Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson. Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 8, this has to do with blade signs, which was disapproved by the Planning Commission, is my understanding. So I would entertain a motion concerning blade signs.
I would make a motion to approve, not disapprove,
Second.
if that makes any sense. So the motion, the modification of standard, excuse me, based on the planning commission was disapproval. I am saying approve it,
Yes.
not disapprove it.
Yes, I'll second that.
Appropriate motion, seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion or further clarification?
There might need to be some clarification on that, because I think that the applicant had agreed that
Well,
it'd be okay to disapprove.
May I speak to that since I seconded? The applicant, the applicant needs to come up, but they were saying that they were going to fight that, so they agreed to it and said, okay. I want to approve it to give them the ability to choose it. They may not choose it. They may, but we need more creativity. We need more design creativity.
Agreed.
And some of these signs that are blade signs are done extremely tasteful and extremely well. You've been to all these different
ma'am.
communities and you've seen them. I'm with you, Randy. I've gone to these communities, I've seen the blade signs used very nicely, and this is a adaptive use, historic building, lends itself to maybe putting something really unique in a blade sign there. And of course, you're already limited to how long it can be, how wide it can be, and how tall it can be. So you have limitations. Plus, it also has to be approved by historic zoning. So it goes through another channel after us. If they don't want it, they'll kick it back out. But I think we ought to at least give that option. So I will support it.
Any other discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman, Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
No.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes 6-1. Next is modification of Standard 9, which is approval of wall signs with conditions.
I move for approval with conditions.
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Okay. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Then we'll go to item number modification of Standard 10, which is signage. Approve with condition concerning the number of signs on the water tower.
Move for approval
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
with conditions.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Modification Standard 11, signage, approved with conditions. These have to do with development entrance signs. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Potts.
With conditions.
sir.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Hanson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yep.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes, sir.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Wow.
We'll now go to the original motion with the modification of standards that you have approved. So, are you ready to, you want to discuss any of those, or are you ready to vote?
No, sir.
Let's vote.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Okay. Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item 5. This is a public hearing on ordinance 2022-22, an ordinance to rezone 32.83 acres from Civic Institutional District to Plan PD 3.96 for 142,500 district for the property located west of Franklin Road, south of Gateway Court, located at 553 and 557 Franklin Road. Woo! Go ahead, Joey.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting to zone the property plan district with the proposed entitlements of 3.66 dwelling units per acre and 142,500 square feet of non-residential space to accommodate the 555 Franklin Road PUD subdivision. The development does include 120 multifamily units, as well as 142,500 square feet of continuum of care services. Envision Franklin places the subject property in the neighborhood mixed-use design concept. Multifamily and assisted living services, including continuum of care, are appropriate primary and secondary uses within the neighborhood mixed-use design concept. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2022-22, as does Planning Commission. Thank you.
Okay, I have 2 speaker cards here regarding this item, Philip Cantrell and Regina Hutto. So if,
Respectfully withdraw my request to speak.
so we can discard those. So I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
Applicant.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Was Mr. Cantrell the applicant? Or who's the applicant?
Hi there, I'm Julie Jones. I am with Gamble Design Collaborative, representing the applicant. I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Ready to vote? I would declare the public hearing closed. We're going to vote. Alderman Barnhill?
We have a motion
motion.
first.
Oh, I'm
Make a
sorry.
motion to approve.
Thanks. I'm motion crazy. Vice Mayor Blanton had the motion, and
Jason.
Second.
Alderman Barnhill had the second. Any discussion? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 6, which is Resolution 2022-47, a resolution approving the development plan for 555 Franklin Road PUD subdivision with one modification of developmental standards. Request foundation height for the property located west of Franklin Road and south of Gateway Court, located 553 and 557 Franklin Road.
Thank you. The Envision Franklin land use plan places the subject property in the neighborhood mixed-use design concept, which state that these areas provide a diverse mix of high-activity uses with a connected and walkable block layout. It further states that buildings should engage and define the street edge with landscaping, pedestrian walkways, street furnishings to allow for safe and comfortable movement of pedestrians. The building is proposed 3 stories with a recessed 4th story further back into the site. The site utilizes, or the plan utilizes the rising topography to minimize the appearance of the 4th story and tapered the building back 3 stories along the rear drive aisle. For the height of new buildings in neighborhood mixed use, Envision Franklin recommends 3 stories. However, it also adds that larger scale master plan developments may be considered for additional height with appropriate transitions. Given the established developments along Franklin Road, the total height of 4 stories can be supported as the applicant has incorporated site grading, architectural form, and details, including a gabled roof that helps bring down the perceived height from the Franklin Road view shed. The urban frontage section of the ordinance requires that all parking be located behind the building at the back of the property. The applicant was granted a variance for parking location at the August 22 of this year meeting at the Board of Zoning Appeals to allow for parking along the side of the building. The site layout as proposed reflects the parking arrangement that was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. You'll notice in the plan that there are 2 modifications of standards listed. Staff determined that one of them was not needed, so it's only the one modification that I'll address here tonight. So MOS number 1, the applicant is requesting to reduce the required 18-inch foundation for multifamily buildings as required in section 6.7 of the ordinance, to have the foundation be lowered to at grade to better accommodate the residents and patients of the building. Based on the ground floor continuum of care use and the physical condition of those who are more likely to use these services, staff can support the MOS request to reduce the foundation height to grade level. Additionally, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen has approved similar requests for foundation reductions in order to better accommodate ADA requirements. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 1, as did Planning Commission. And staff recommends approval with conditions of Resolution 2022-47, as does Planning Commission. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone want to speak to this body during the public hearing, including the applicant? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and would ask for a motion so that we can immediately get to the modification standard.
So move.
Appropriate motion. Second by Alderman Potts. Now we'll go to modification standard 1 as far as development standard for foundation height. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you. Seconded by Alderman Potts. Any discussion? Okay, let's vote on that one. On the modification standard, Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson. Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to the original motion with the approved modification of standard. Is there any discussion on that? If not, are you ready to vote? Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 7, which is a public hearing consideration resolution 2022-57, a resolution adopting a plan of services for the annexation of 517 Franklin Road by the city of Franklin.
I'm back. The applicant is requesting a plan of services for the property located at 517 Franklin Road. The plan of services outlines how infrastructure will need to be provided to serve the property of 2.07 acres. No major issues or concerns are listed or came up with the plan of services. No additional manpower or equipment will be necessary for either fire, police, or sanitation to serve the property. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2022-57, as does Planning Commission. Thank you.
Is there anybody who wants to address this body? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Hanson.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 8. This is a public hearing consideration resolution 2022-58, a resolution to annex 517 Franklin Road consisting of 2.07 acres property located west of Franklin Road, south of Century Oaks Drive, and adjoining city limits within the northern part of the Franklin urban growth boundary.
Thank you. The property to be considered for annexation is contiguous to the city limits and is within the northern boundary of the UGB. And the property helps fill in an existing hole in the city limits along Franklin Road. The property does fall into the Spencer Creek Drainage Basin, which was identified as a long-term growth area in the 2018 growth study due to limited remaining developable area and the existing large lot development pattern. The study also noted that several properties along Franklin Road in this basin may annex due to ability to provide sewer. The subject property at 517 Franklin Road is within the large lot residential design concept as defined by Envision Franklin. No additional plan for further development of the property has been submitted at this time. The applicant intends to subdivide the property into 2 single-family residential lots. There is also a zoning for the property as well on the agenda tonight. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2022-58, as does Planning Commission. Thank you.
So is there anyone who wants to address this body during the public hearing? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Potts, seconded by Alderman Hanson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 9, this is a public hearing, consideration ordinance 2022-31, an ordinance to zone 2.07 acres residential R1 district scenic corridor overlay district for property located west of Franklin Road, south of Century Oaks Drive at 517 Franklin Road.
Thank you. The proposed zoning of residential 1 or R1 district is appropriate for the proposed 2 single-family residential lots, and it meets the recommendations of Envision Franklin for the large lot residential design concept. No site plan for the property has been submitted at this time. The property will also be zoned into the scenic corridor overlay district per our existing map extents of the district. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2022-31 as does Planning Commission.
So this is the public hearing. Does anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Entertain a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
Thank you, Alderman Barnhill, and seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 10, which is a public hearing, consideration resolution 2022-53, a resolution initiating the annexation process and draft plan of services for the annexation of 7.06 acres located north of Liberty Pike and west Turning Wheel Lane.
Thank you. I'm Chelsea Randolph, not Joey. So the property being considered is north of Liberty Pike and west of Turning Wheel Lane. It is contiguous to the city limits on 3 sides, and it's within the city's urban growth boundary. The subject property does not have an established address, but it's directly off of Liberty Pike. The property is within the mixed residential design concept as defined by Envision Franklin Land Use Plan. It is the intention of the applicant to develop the property into residential that is consistent with the recommendations of Envision Franklin. Envision Franklin states that the mixed residential design concept should contain residential neighborhoods with a combination of single-family dwellings, big houses, duplexes, and townhomes. They should be designed around natural features to highlight forested areas, hillsides and hilltops, streams, and tree rows as accessible amenities. Envision Franklin further encourages new development to transition from existing development patterns in adjacent neighborhoods. Residential uses would be appropriate within the mixed residential design concept. The site is also partially included in the conservation design concept. There are steep slopes along the northern property line that would be zoned into the hillside hillcrest overlay should the property be annexed. The existing site constraints would severely limit the number and size of those lots that would be created on the property. A draft plan of services included as an attachment, and the plan of services outlines how the city will serve the property, requesting annexation and any additional infrastructure that would be required for the new development. Staff recommends that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approve Resolution 2022-53.
And this is a public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak to this body? And it's good to see you, Chelsea. Thank you. Not that we were tired of Joey. I'm going to close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Barnhill. Second by Alderman Hanson. Any discussion? You ready to vote? Alderman Berger, go ahead and make your comment.
This is a unique piece of property. It's on a hill already. I mean, there's nothing really flat about it. Maybe up at the very top. And then it goes over the top into the back end of Ovation. It is all surrounded by city right now, so bringing this into the city would finish out that parcel. It goes from the Turning Wheel Lane, Dr. Kulo's home that he sold is in the city, and then this parcel's right there, and then it's on down to the community college. So this is sort of a standalone area. So I'll support bringing this into the city, doing a plan of services and everything to see, because it shouldn't remain in the county. It's sort of a donut hole there. And also, city standards, we really need to look at this because this is going to be a very difficult parcel to develop. I'm going to be very cautious what goes there and how it's situated. I know you'll have to be very cautious with that. But also, I just want to make a note that, would you check on the plan of services and everything, find out, I think there's an easement there for shared access to that driveway. There's some kind of easement right there along that driveway or attached or shares that driveway. So please look at that when you're doing the studies. All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 11, this is a public hearing, consideration of resolution 2022-52, a resolution initiating the annexation process, draft plan of services for the annexation of 4.70 acres located east of Ridgeway Drive and south of Murfreesboro Road.
Thank you. The property being considered is south of Murfreesboro Road and east of Ridgeway Drive. It is contiguous to the city limits, and on the north and south on the north and south boundaries is within the city's urban growth boundary. However, the property is adjacent to county properties on the east and west. Since the property is along Murfreesboro Road, well within the UGB area, and is proximate to other city neighborhoods, staff recommends that the property be annexed. The property is within the single-family residential design concept as defined by Envision Franklin Land Use Plan. It is the intention of the applicant to develop single-family residential homes on the property. Envision Franklin states that the single-family residential design concept should consist of single-family residential neighborhoods which provide a range of single-family dwellings and lot sizes. Site constraints would limit the number of single-family residential lots that could be developed on this site. A draft plan of services included as an attachment. The plan of services outlines how the city will serve the property requesting annexation and any additional infrastructure that would be required for the new development. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2022-52.
Okay, does anyone want to address this body? If not, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Potts. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion?
I would just say that 4.7 acres is limited, which is good, because it's not going to be any massive development. I'd hope that they would not try to cram in everything in that area. That's an opportunity to have some little larger lots of just a few homes. So I hope what the applicant's asking for that, I hope they are listening. Thank you.
Any other suggestions, comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Hanson.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Is there any need for an executive session tonight?
I'm happy to meet with you, but I don't have a need.
That's enough.
You have no modification of standards to bring us. So I'd be looking for that favorite motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. All in favor say aye.
Out of here.
Aye.
How about out of here? How about we just
Thanks
do
for
that?
hanging with us, Lou.